I'm going to be sharing with you in this video 3 signs that you are shifting to what some people are calling a 5D state of consciousness. Now, it's important to understand that when we say things like 5D consciousness is just a label. Okay, it's a concept. Now, of course, actual 5D consciousness is not a concept, but the words coming out of my mouth right now, 5D consciousness, that is a collection of words. Okay, 5D and consciousness. We have to consider that 5D consciousness is just a label. It's a judgment, it's an interpretation on reality. And ironically, raising your consciousness, part of raising your consciousness is realizing that we are transcending labels. We're transcending ideas. We're transcending concepts. We're transcending judgments. Because here's the thing that you have to consider before I go deeper into this video. I really feel the need to share this before I go into what the 3 signs are, because 5D consciousness is a label, and the key is to understand that there is actual reality. There's actual life. There's actual life and what reality is, and then there's the concept and the ideas and the judgments and the interpretations that we have about actual reality. Now, what we think about 5D consciousness is not what 5D consciousness actually is. 5D consciousness is a label and a human construct. But when you actually get to what 5D consciousness is, any label works just fine. You could call it a higher state of consciousness. You could call it the 5th dimension. You could call it spiritual awakening. You could call it whatever human construct you want to come up with. In another universe, we could have called it the cat state of consciousness. Because cat is a word. It's a collection of vibrations. It's my tongue hitting the parts of my mouth in a certain way that then give you a word. But we could have called it anything. The more important thing is to realize, what is the word pointing to? What is the word 5D consciousness pointing to? What actually is 5D consciousness in reality outside of what we think? Now, as humans, I have to use words, but I'm going to do my best to use the label of 5D consciousness to help you understand what that state is and to point you to certain things that you can become aware of to say, oh, that's what 5D consciousness is. But the actual experience, you could call it anything that you want. In this video, we're going to call it 3 signs that you are shifting to a 5D state of consciousness. 3 signs you are shifting to 5D consciousness. So if you're new to this channel, what I want you to do is to hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, because I do post a new video every single day. Also, if you want to work with me one-on-one personally, hit the link that's in the description box of this video to apply for a free consultation. So the first sign that you are shifting to what some people call a 5D state of consciousness is that you are not controlling reality anymore. You're not controlling your thoughts. You're not controlling your emotions. You're not controlling every little thing that you do in life, but you are observing. You're learning to observe your breath in your meditations, if you do meditation. Or you're learning to observe life kind of like a movie. Now, that's not to say that you don't have free will. In fact, the more that you observe, the more that you can consciously begin to take actions that you otherwise wouldn't be able to take because you were unconsciously playing out certain patterns that were based on the conditioning and the subconscious programming. But when you begin to observe, now you begin to consciously control your reality more. But in a weird paradoxical way, you're surrendering control and you're allowing the process to unfold, but you also have more control. It's a very big paradox that we need to surrender understanding with the mind. You just have to observe. Now, what this first sign is also connected to is once you actually learn to observe and not control, what happens is this leads to a state of lightness. You feel very light in your body. So maybe you finish a meditation session, or maybe you just become present to the moment and you feel a lightness in your body. You feel like life is more crystal clear in HD. Because the more that you observe and let go of control, all those heavy emotions come up to the surface. You actually process them, and then you enter a higher state of lightness. Like in my experience, the more that my consciousness increases, and I'm just going to be a little bit more vulnerable, my visual perception will literally change. I'll literally see life in a more crystal clear HD way. I'll see reality for what it truly is beyond what we think. And I'll actually see that life becomes more light. And it's all connected, right? It's not just what you see, it's what you feel in your body, it's your like you're just gonna be lighter. You can literally feel that your frequency is higher. And it's impossible to explain this using words other than right now I'm gonna say 5D consciousness. 5D is about observation, not about control. I could say 4D, I could say 5D, I could say 7D. I'm sure that once you get to 7D consciousness, you can't even define it as 7D anymore. It's just like that's too human. Even to use a label like 3D, 4D, 5D, like that's too human. That's too limiting. That's too limiting of a label. I could be wrong. Maybe in 7D consciousness we still use labels like that, but my intuition tells me that a higher state of consciousness is where you don't even have as many labels as much as humans do. You're just connected to the oneness of all that is. And so that begins with observing and not controlling, which increases your feeling of lightness in your body and a feeling of connection to the present moment. Now, the second sign that you're shifting to what some people are calling a 5D state of consciousness is you're grounding deeper into your own energy. You don't get sucked into the external world as much. You can still be in the external world if you want, or you could go into a cave and be a monk if you want. Follow your path. Do what it is that you truly want. And I was kind of joking there, but hey, some people, like if you feel called to go ground in your energy so deep where you want to run away from society, I'm not here to stop you. You do what your heart and what your soul tells you. But whether you want to live in a cave and be a monk, and I'm not even kidding, like I kind of am, but I'm also not. Like if you want to completely isolate yourself from the external world in any way possible, go ahead and do that. If you want to live in this external world and still do still do human things, but be more grounded in your energy, then do that. But whichever one you choose, you're going to be more grounded in your own energy field, in your own beingness. You're not going to be so sucked into other people's stories, other people's narratives, other people's opinions, other people's projections, other people's emotions. And the paradox is that if you're in the presence of another person, you might feel their emotions and take them on as yours. That's also a part of 5D consciousness, is to be so empathetic and so sensitive that you feel into other people's emotions as almost as if they're yours. That's a bonus sign. Leave a comment down below if you've experienced that before. But the thing is to understand that when you begin to shift into a higher state of consciousness that we can define as humans and call it 5D, you're going to be grounded in your own energy field. So you could be in a low vibration space. I'm not saying that you're not going to be in a low vibration space with lower energies, but you're still going to be able to maintain your groundedness, not get sucked into the anger, not get sucked into the reactivity and the patterns. The patterns will still be there. You're still going to have patterns coming up in your own body and the people around you. Maybe if you're in a relationship, patterns are going to come up. They're still going to be there. Challenges are still going to come up. But the difference is that you're going to be more grounded in your beingness, more grounded in that state of observation versus unconscious control, unconsciously letting these patterns play out where you're not actually being who you are. You're not connected to your being, but you are too lost in the doing. Nothing wrong with doing, but are you grounded in your energy field? This means that you may take more time for yourself. This means that you might not allow other people's opinions to define the actions and the decisions that you take. This may mean that you are now being a higher embodiment of what you want to be doing, and people have their opinions, people have their ideas, but it doesn't affect you as much. Like, you know in your heart what you got to do. You know in your heart the actions that you have to take. You know the decisions that you need to be making, and You're more grounded in your energy field. You're more conscious of who you allow into your space. You have stronger boundaries. You're literally, your consciousness is more inwardly focused overall. You overall have more inward consciousness. So the higher state of consciousness that you're on, the more connected you are to your internal connection and internal state of beingness, which means that you're more grounded in your truth and your authenticity and your soul and the 5D state of consciousness, whatever label you want to put on it. Now, the third sign is that this is my favorite, because I specifically remember in my life, I think it was like a year or two ago, maybe a little bit longer, I'm not even sure now, time speeding up. That's part of 5D consciousness too. Leave a comment down below. Is time speeding up for you as well as your consciousness increases? Let me know. Let me know. So the third sign is, and that's a bonus sign once again. The third sign is, which is my favorite, and this is what I experienced about a year or two ago. I distinctively remember I started to feel more one. I started to see that I was connected to everything. I started to feel that I was connected to everything, not just at the logical level, but at the emotional level, at the physical level, at the spiritual level. At every single possible level, I am not separate. I'm not separate from this camera. I'm not separate from you if you're watching this. See, it's interesting to talk about oneness. It's interesting to use fancy, oh yeah, like everything's one, we're all connected. But then when you actually start to see visually that you are connected to everything, this is a sign you're shifting to a 5D state of consciousness. Your consciousness is increasing at incredible levels. You may literally be looking at a person, and I love to share this point on my channel because this has been the most predominant sign in my personal life. You can literally see visually, and this is my favorite, that you are one. You might be talking to somebody, you might literally see you are one. Your visual perception could change. Your visual perception might literally change, and you may literally become conscious, not as an idea, but literally become conscious and see with your consciousness and your awareness and visually and emotionally and physically and even logically that you are one with that person. You are one with the object that you're looking at. You are one with life. You are not separate from life. Life is all connected. And if you're feeling more one, you are shifting to a higher state of consciousness. And I literally remember I would doubt myself. I would see that I'm more connected, and I would start to doubt, like, oh, that's really weird. Like, you might be looking at an object and kind of get like lost in the object. You're like, whoa, I'm connected to that. I'm not separate from that object. Like, I remember I was going through my spiritual awakening, if you want to call it that, and I was outside and I was looking at the floor. And it sounds kind of silly. I was looking at the floor and I could see that I was connected to the floor. It sounds silly. But I could see that there was you might even start to see like your visual perception change a little bit, where things start to, you might see that life is vibrating. I know it sounds kind of crazy, but I just felt the need to be more vulnerable in this video, because I know if you're following this channel, you don't think it's crazy. If you think it's crazy, be open to it. So you got to understand that your visual perception may actually change. And I don't think it's crazy. I'm grounded in it completely. But some people obviously might see it as such. So the reason why I'm even saying all of that, and why, because to me it's not crazy, is because when you start to experience that oneness, you might doubt yourself. You might think, oh, am I crazy? No, you're not crazy. You're realizing that you're one. You're becoming conscious that you're one. You're shifting to 5D. You're shifting to a higher state of being. So don't doubt that. And I just felt the need to share that, because don't doubt that. If you're becoming one, embrace that oneness. See where that feeling takes you. That's your purpose. That is going to lead to your passion. That feeling of oneness is literally going to lead to your passion. That feeling of oneness is going to lead to your true calling. Don't doubt that feeling. Embrace it. Move deeper into it and see what happens in your life. So Leave a comment down below if any of these signs resonate with you. Leave a comment down below if you have any other signs that you personally have experienced that are clear indicators that your consciousness is increasing. Now, the last thing I want to share with you as part of oneness is that you are going to be extremely sensitive to other people's emotions. That's a bonus sign right there. You will have the ability to be so empathetic and so empathic and so sensitive and so connected to the oneness of everything that is, that you have the ability to take on other people's traumas and wounds and emotions as your own. So that's why you need boundaries when you begin to shift to a higher state of consciousness. It's very critical. It's very critical to have boundaries and to realize that you have to be conscious of where you place your energy and your attention and your focus. So just to conclude this video, the 3 signs are observing, not controlling, grounding deeper into your own energy field, and third, connecting to the oneness of all that is. So that's all I have for this video. Once again, leave a comment down below if any of these signs resonated with you. As always, if you want to sign up for a free consultation and work with me one-on-one, the link is in the description box of this video. And as always, as well, have yourself a great day, and I'll see you in the next video.